Have you ever glanced at the man next to you, the one you've shared a life with, and wondered why he feels so far away lately? You're still sleeping in the same bed, still making dinner, still doing all the things you're supposed to, but something feels off deep inside. The emotional bond, the warmth, the closeness. For many women in long-term relationships, sex can slowly change from a source of joy to something routine. And when that happens, the gap between you and him doesn't just widen, it quietly takes root. But here's a truth we weren't often told. For many men, sex isn't just about physical pleasure. It's how they feel loved, valued, and chosen. If you've ever felt disconnected, confused, or even frustrated in your marriage, this video is for you. We'll gently explore why sex is so meaningful to men and how it can become special for you again too. Share in the comments if this resonates. And if you're ready to rediscover closeness, don't forget to like and subscribe. Section 1. Why sex matters so much to men. Let's dive into something many of us weren't taught, or maybe didn't want to confront. Why is sex such a big deal to men? Not from books or movies, but from real life. The kind that unfolds late at night when you're both tired, yet he still reaches for you. For many women, especially after years together, sex can feel like another task, like paying bills or folding laundry, something we do to keep the peace or check off a box. But for him, it's not just the act, it's what it represents. For many men, sex is how they feel loved, appreciated, and wanted. I didn't get this for a long time. I used to think he just wants sex, but I want connection. What I didn't see was that for him, sex is connection. Men aren't always taught to share their feelings through words. They don't sit with friends discussing feeling unseen or undervalued. But when they feel distant, when life gets heavy, when they wonder if they're still enough for us, they don't talk. They reach. And if that reach is met with rejection, even a quiet, subtle one, it cuts deeper than they'll ever say. It's not just about desire, it's about being chosen. Think about it. When your husband reaches for you, he's not just asking for your body, he's asking, do I still matter to you? He's hoping you will say yes without a word. When I realized this, everything shifted. I stopped seeing sex as a duty and started seeing it as a way to reconnect, to tell him, you're still the one I choose, the man I see. And the beautiful thing, when a man feels seen, respected, and wanted, he softens. He opens up, becomes more affectionate, more patient, more present. The walls come down, and love can flourish again. This doesn't mean ignoring our own needs. Not at all. But it does mean we stop treating sex like a bargaining tool or a burden. When we shift from I have to I get to, we show up differently, and so does he. Now, this isn't about being available all the time or ignoring your exhaustion. It's about choice, intention, and reconnection. It's about remembering you're not just a wife, a mom, or a caregiver. You're a woman, a partner, a vibrant being who deserves to feel close, safe, and loved. So if sex has started feeling like a chore, if you're avoiding it or disconnecting emotionally, that's okay, you're not alone. But maybe this is your chance to look again, not just at him, but at what this part of your relationship once was, what it could be, and what it might mean, not just to him, but to you. Because when sex becomes something we share with our husbands, not just for them, it becomes sacred again. That's where true connection starts. Section 2. The disconnect. Why women step back. Let's be real. There are times in a woman's life when sex feels far away. Not just physically, but emotionally, like a door you didn't even realize you'd closed. You didn't mean to, but life got in the way. You became a mom, took on more at work, started carrying everyone's needs while quietly pushing yours aside. Somewhere along the way, you stopped checking in with yourself. You got exhausted, then resentful, then numb. And maybe now, when your husband reaches for you, it doesn't feel like love. It feels like another demand. I've been there. I've lain next to him at night, wide awake, wondering how we got here. Feeling guilty for pulling back, but also frustrated that he didn't seem to notice. Wait, hey, I am. Because here's what many men don't understand. When women disconnect sexually, it's rarely about desire, it's about emotions. It's about not feeling seen, not feeling emotionally safe, not feeling like your exhaustion, stress, or invisible burdens are being recognized. We don't just lose interest, we shut down because we feel unseen. And when we don't feel emotionally held, our bodies don't want to open up either. For women, intimacy begins long before the bedroom. It starts with feeling heard, valued, and like we matter. So when we pull back, it's not out of spite or punishment, it's often self-protection. But here's the tough part. Our husbands don't always get that. They feel rejected, start thinking something's wrong with them, or worse, that we don't care anymore. And suddenly, without meaning to, you're both hurting, silently sleeping in the same bed but living in separate worlds. It doesn't happen overnight. It's gradual, subtle, easy to miss. Until one day you realize you haven't truly touched in weeks, haven't had a real conversation in months, haven't connected in who knows how long. It's a hard place to be, but it's not hopeless. Through my own journey, I've learned disconnection isn't the end. It's a sign, a quiet nudge to pause, look inward, and ask, what do I really need? What's been left unsaid, unfelt, unhealed? What part of me have I neglected trying to hold it all together? Sometimes the answer isn't about sex at all. It's about needing to feel like you exist beyond being everything to everyone. And when you start coming back to yourself, slowly, gently, you open that door again. Not just to him, but to you. That's where healing begins. So if you've been stepping back, know you're not broken, you're not cold, you're not alone. You're a woman who's carried so much and maybe forgotten how to be held. And that can change with awareness, softness, and a choice to reconnect, not out of guilt, but out of a desire to feel whole again. Your needs matter, your voice matters, and it's okay to take that first step back, not just toward him, but toward yourself. Section 3, bridging the intimacy gap. So what do we do when we've drifted apart, when the spark feels faint, when touch feels unfamiliar instead of comforting? How do we rebuild that closeness, not just with him, but with ourselves? Because healing the intimacy gap starts with us. Here's a truth I wish I'd known. You can't force intimacy. You can't guilt yourself into passion or fake closeness and expect it to feel genuine. What you can do is start gently, quietly, with honesty, not with a big gesture, but with a small question. What would it feel like to want again? Not to perform, not to check a box, but to truly want, to enjoy, to soften, to be present. For many of us, it's not that we've stopped wanting, it's that we've stopped feeling. We got so used to being in control, to surviving, that we forgot how it feels to relax, to be touched without tensing, to be held without holding it all together. That's the first step, not fixing the sex, but softening the barriers. Sometimes it's sitting in silence together. Sometimes it's a 10-second hug before bed. Sometimes it's letting yourself cry because you didn't realize how much you missed feeling close. And sometimes it starts long before any physical touch, with a journal, a long shower, a walk without your phone, a moment where you say, I exist beyond being useful. Because when a woman reconnects with herself, her heart opens, her body follows, and suddenly intimacy isn't something she gives away. It's something she receives too. I wish I'd known years ago, you don't have to go back to who you were. You're not trying to be 25 again or recreate an old version of your marriage. You're becoming something wiser, more sacred, more grounded. This version of intimacy at this stage of life is quieter but deeper. It's not about performance, it's about presence. When you touch him now, it says, I see you, I'm still here, I want this to matter again. And when he feels that, your willingness to open up, not give in, he softens too. Because deep down, he's been missing you, not just your body, but the way you laughed when no one was watching, the way you held his hand at the store, the way your eyes lit up when he walked in. He misses the version of you that didn't feel so alone. And maybe you miss her too. The beautiful thing is, she's not gone. She's waiting for gentleness, for truth, for permission to feel again. So if there's a gap between you and your husband, no, it doesn't mean the love is gone. It might just mean it needs room to breathe. You don't have to rush or fix it all at once, but you can take a small step, a conversation, a soft touch, a deeper breath. Intimacy doesn't start in the bedroom. It starts in your heart. And when you're ready to let it in, even just a little, you'll be amazed at how it finds its way back. Section 4. What happens when intimacy returns? Let me share something real. When a woman reclaims intimacy, not out of pressure, not to please, but because she wants to feel again, something magical happens. It's not just in the bedroom, it shows in how she moves, how she laughs, how she looks in the mirror, and truly sees herself again. I once spoke with a woman named Ellen, 55, married for 25 years, with 2 grown kids and a busy household built on responsibility. She shared that there was a time she thought her marriage had quietly faded. No big drama, no betrayal, just silence. They felt more like roommates than lovers. She said something I'll always remember. I didn't miss the sex. I missed being wanted. I missed wanting myself. That was her turning point, not a quick fix, not fireworks, but a choice to come back to herself, to gently explore what made her feel soft, alive, connected. As she started showing up differently, more present, more open, more honest, her husband responded. He wasn't perfect, but he became more attentive, kinder, more curious, like he was meeting me again for the first time. Because when intimacy returns, even slowly, it breathes life back into the relationship, not just sexual energy, but emotional safety, playfulness, moments where you see each other again, not as parents or partners, but as 2 souls who chose each other. It might start with a hand on your back, a longer goodnight kiss, a shared laugh that catches you both off guard. Then one night you realize you are not doing it out of guilt or duty. You want to. You want to be close, to feel skin on skin, to remember you're not just surviving this life together. You're sharing it. Here's what no one tells us. Reclaiming intimacy doesn't mean going back to how it was. You're not who you were at 25, and that's a beautiful thing. What you have now is richer. You know more, feel deeper. You've grown. And when you bring that growth into your connection, it becomes more than passion. It becomes trust, warmth, a space where you both can breathe. It won't look like the movies, but it'll feel real. It'll feel like, I see you, I still choose you, I'm not going anywhere, and neither are you. That's what reclaimed intimacy looks like, not perfect, but sacred. And it's within your reach, no matter how long it's been or how far apart you've felt. It starts with one small choice: to open, to soften, to believe closeness can return. And you, dear friend, have every right to welcome it back. Section 5. How to bring this up with your partner. So now you're aware, you understand why sex matters to him. You're starting to feel your own needs again. You're softening, opening, healing. But there's one more step that feels so vulnerable: talking about it. Not just thinking or journaling, not waiting for things to magically change, but actually bringing this up with the man you love. I know that can feel daunting. Maybe it's been months or years since you last spoke openly about sex. Maybe there's been hurt, avoidance, silence. Maybe you're worried he'll take it the wrong way, hear blame, or feel rejected. But here's the truth. Most men are craving this conversation. They just don't know how to start it either. They're just as unsure, just as afraid of saying the wrong thing, just as scared of being shut down. What if you were the one to open the door? Not perfectly, not with all the right words, but with honesty. Something as simple as, I've been thinking about how we've grown apart, and I don't want that for us. I know I've pulled back, and I want us to understand why together. I want to feel close again, not just in bed, all in life. These aren't accusations, they're invitations. And your tone matters more than the words. This isn't a lecture. It's a soft space to meet each other again. Here's my advice. Choose a moment when you're both calm, not stressed or distracted. Not during an argument or after a long day when you're both drained. Maybe it's on a quiet walk over morning coffee or before bed when the house is peaceful. Keep your voice gentle, your heart open, your focus on connection, not criticism. It's okay to be emotional. You don't have to sound like you have it all figured out. You can say, this is hard for me to talk about, but I love you and I miss us. Let him hear the heart behind your words. Let him feel your sincerity. You're not blaming him. You're inviting him in. And when you do, something beautiful often happens. He softens too. Because when a man hears, "I want to reconnect," instead of "you're not enough," he listens. He leans in, drops his guard, and suddenly this thing you've both been avoiding becomes something you can face together. One of the most powerful things you can say is, "I don't just want to have sex for your sake. I want it for me too. I just need time and your patience while I find my way back." That kind of honesty is disarming, healing, real. You don't need to fix everything in one night or rush back into passion. You just need to open the door. Let your partner know you still care, you're trying, you're not giving up. That alone can change everything. Because this conversation isn't really about sex. It's about closeness, trust, a shared desire to feel connected again. When two people can sit together, look into each other's eyes and say, "Let's figure this out together." That's intimacy. That's where healing starts. And you're strong enough to begin it. Here's something I've whispered to myself in the dark more than once. Why do I feel broken when maybe I'm just exhausted? Have you been there, lying in bed, knowing he wants to be close, but all you crave is silence, stillness, a moment to just be? Then the guilt creeps in. You wonder, what's wrong with me? Why don't I want this anymore? Why can't I be the wife he needs? But what if the truth is kinder? What if you're not broken? You're just tired. Not the kind of tired sleep can fix, but the deep, soul-level tired that comes from always giving, rarely receiving, from being everything to everyone, while forgetting who you are beyond all the roles. We've been taught to measure our worth by what we do, how much we give, how well we hold it all together, how good we are, especially in our relationships. So when our body says, "Not tonight," we don't just feel tired. We feel not enough. But here's the shift I want to offer. You're allowed to be tired. You're allowed to need rest. You're allowed to pull back, not from love, but from pressure. Needing space doesn't mean you love him less. It means you're human, and your needs matter too. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for him, and for you, is to stop pretending you're okay when you're running on empty. Because when you give from overflow, it's a gift, but when you give from depletion, it turns into quiet resentment. So maybe this isn't about fixing your sex life. Maybe it's about giving yourself permission to rest, to breathe, to feel enough, even when you're not at your most giving. You are still worthy of love, even on your tired days, even when you say, "Not right now," even when you're just trying to find your way back to yourself. And the right partner will meet you there with patience, grace, and love that doesn't demand you earn it. Today, we explored why sex means more to men than we often realize, how it speaks love, not just desire. We talked about why we as women sometimes pull away and how that distance can be gently healed. Most of all, we remembered, you're not broken, you are human. Intimacy isn't just for him, it's for both of you. If this touched something deep within you, let it be a beginning. You deserve connection that feels safe, mutual, and real, one honest step at a time. Have you ever felt this kind of distance in your relationship? Share your story in the comments. Your words might be just what another woman needs to hear. And if this message resonated, subscribe, and share it with a friend who might be quietly asking the same questions. You're not alone. Thank you for listening, friends. If this spoke to you, please consider subscribing or sharing so others can benefit too. I look forward to seeing you in future episodes of Talk with John. Take care.